welcome to today's tutorial with Josie and Ellie Crochet on how to create a scrunchie. I'm going to go through the equipment and then I'm going to show you a couple that I've made just to show you how you can make them your own. So equipment needed for today is yarn of choice, which I have chosen some cotton yarn, and you can do just one color like I have this with this one, but I'm going to show you how you can change colors. So I have two colors for today's tutorial. You will require a hairband to crochet around. I tried with quite a few variations of hairbands, but this is the style that I found worked best. So there's not, there's stretch to it, but not too much. It will still keep its structure. So this style of hairband is the one that I found best. I found them in a variety of colours. You can get them in supermarkets, you can get them on online stores, so they are readily available in a variety of colours. You'll need your hook that works with your yarn. So for me today that is a 4mm hook. You'll need a yarning needle and some scissors. So I'm just going to pop these bits to the side and just show you a few that I made for a market that I have coming up, which is why they've got these handmade labels on. But just to show you that you can change the yarn that you're wanting to use. This one is a DK yarn and I've kept it in a plain colour. This one is kind of an ombre style DK yarn, which I like because it naturally kind of changes the colour and the pattern. I think that works up really nicely. And then this, the same as my purple one, is a Chanel yarn, and this one I've actually alternated the colours that you can see here. There's 4 rounds to this scrunchie, so you have 4 opportunities to change your colour. I changed colour in round 3 here and then went back to the bright pink for the border. So there's lots of variety that you can choose with your style of scrunchie to make it your own, which I think is really lovely. So I'm going to start off with our first colour, which I'm going to go with this green, and this is the colour hairband that's will blend in the best, I think, with that. So let's find the end of our yarn here. So starting off with a slip knot. So I'm going to take the yarn around my finger in a cross shape, go under the first top of the cross there, over the second, turn the hook over to pull through, remove the finger, and that will tighten up. Not there. There we go. Right, so taking our hairband, we want to start off by slip stitching this on. So I'm going to hold the working yarn behind me here and take my hook through to bring the yarn back up and then pull through the chain there to slip stitch on. So the stitch that we're going to be using for round 1 to attach to our hairband is a double crochet. Now I'm using UK terminology there. If you work with US terminology, that is a single crochet. So what we're going to do to start with, I'm just going to loop the hook over and pull through to create that first stitch, and I'm going to bring the end of the yarn over and I'm going to hold that in place because I'm going to weave it in as we go around. If you find that a bit fiddly, then leave it out and you can sew it in at the end, which I'll show you how to do when we come to the very end, when we're weaving in at the end of our scrunchie. So I'm going to hold it across and hold it close to the hairband here. So what we're going to do is take that hook into the center of the hairband, hook around the yarn to pull it up. Then I'm going to take the yarn over again and pull through both loops. So we take the hook into the center, we're going to grab hold of that yarn, pull it back through, then yarn over again and pull through both loops. So we go into the center. I'm just turning it so you can see, hopefully that's helpful to pull through, but we want to keep it at the top. So we want to create our stitches on the outside here. Take the yarn over and through 2 loops. So we go into the center, pull the yarn up, yarn over and through 2 loops. I'll turn it to this angle to show you here. So we go under, pull up, yarn over and through 2 loops, and you can see we're creating our stitches on the top here. And we're going to continue doing this all the way around our hairband. So once you get, can be a little bit fiddly to start with, but once you get the hang of it, you get into a nice little rhythm and flow. I find this a really nice little project to do because it comes up quite quickly. And as I said at the beginning, there's so many variations that you can do with it to make it your own, but it's also a great gift as well. I make these for my girls' birthday party bags for their friends, which seems to go down quite well. Now, as we're working around our hairband, sorry, I'm just getting myself some more yarn here because I got stuck. You can start pushing it around so that's nice and tight around your hairband, but what you don't want to do is bunch it too much that it becomes a strange shape at the top. So you want to try and keep it nice and even. So we're going in, pull the yarn up, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going and I'm going to meet you round at the end. So I'm coming to the end of completing covering the hairband here. When you get to this point, you might find that you can stretch it out a little bit and see that you can add a couple more in, but remember that you don't want to overdo it, which you can see there. Probably don't want to do too many more, so I'm just going to close up that little gap. I think we can get one more in there, and then we're going to find our first stitch and slip stitch into it. So I'm going to place the hook through, I'm going to take that yarn, I'm going to pull through the stitch of those 2 loops and then all the way through the last loop there as well. So we've covered up our hairband here. The next, so we're moving on to round 2. Round 2 and 3, we're going to be working treble crochets. If you work with US terminology, that's a double crochet. So we're going to start off by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, and then in that same stitch I want to take a treble crochet. So we want to take our yarn over the hook, then place the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through, so we've got 3 loops on our hook, take the yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So now we're moving on to our next stitch here. So working treble crochets all the way around. So yarn over into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. Now we're going to do another treble in that same stitch. So yarn over into the stitch, pull the yarn up, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. So we have 2 trebles in that stitch, and that is what we're going to do all the way around our hairband. So in every single stitch we want to do 2 treble crochets, and that is a double crochet if you use US terminology. So yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull up, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops, and we're going to go again with another treble in that same stitch. So we have 2 trebles in there. So yarn over into our next stitch, place the hook through, pull the yarn up, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. That's our first treble, and we're taking our second treble crochet into the stitch there. And that's what we're going to be doing all the way around. 2 double crochets into each stitch, and it will start building up quite nicely. So for this round I've kept the same colour. When we move on to round 3, I'm going to show you how to change colour. So what I'm going to do is work my way around with the 2 treble crochets in each stitch, and I will meet you when we come to the end to show you how to start a new colour. So I have completed 2 treble crochets in each stitch around my hairband here. What I'm going to do is just cut the yarn, leaving enough to be able to weave in the ends. I'm going to leave it on my hook here, and I'm going to go into the top stitch of the chain 3, and then I'm going to get my next colour. So we're changing the colour of our yarn for this round. I'm going to place it over the hook, and I'm going to pull through that top stitch and through the chain there, and from there we're taking our 3 chains. So I'm going to hold on and go 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to make a cheeky little knot with our 2 colours there. Not too tight so it doesn't pull. There we go. And then we're nice and secure and in place. So then we can continue exactly the same way we did with round 2. So starting off, we're taking our yarn over, I'm going into that same stitch. Now it's up to you, you can do as we did at the beginning with the hairband, and I'm just going to hold these in for a couple of stitches, and then I can weave them back at the end to secure them in place, or you can leave them out and weave them in all at the end. It's entirely your choice. So I'm taking that yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. We have 2 in the first stitch there, moving on to the second. So yarn over into the stitch, pull that yarn up and through, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. That's our first treble. Yarn over into that same stitch to take our second treble crochet through. Moving on to the third stitch, yarn over into that stitch, pull the yarn through, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops, and again yarn over, pull up, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. Into our next stitch for 2 treble crochets, and then I'm going to do 1 more stitch holding on to those ends, and then I'm just going to move those ends out the way, and I will weave them in at the end. So again, exactly as we did in round 2, round 3 is 2 treble crochets in each stitch, and we're going to work our way around. So you can see how that looks there, and we've got a nice seamless colour change at the start of our round 3 as well. So I'm going to continue on with the 2 trebles in each stitch, meet you at the end, and round 4 is more of a border to finish off our scrunchie. So I'll meet you back there in a second. So I have now completed round 3. So on the top of the chain 3, we want to take a slip stitch by taking that hook through, yarn over, pull through the stitch and pull through that last loop to finish off the round. So now we've done our first 3 rounds, we're moving on to round 4. And that is more of a border. So we're going back to our double crochet, which we did at the start, or single crochet if you use US terminology. So to begin, we're going to chain 1, and then into that same stitch, we're going to take the hook through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2 loops. Now we're just going to do 1 in each stitch all the way round, so we're not going to do 2 in each stitch as we have the 2 previous rounds. So we're going into the next stitch with the hook, pulling the yarn through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Into the next stitch, hook through, pull the yarn up, yarn over and through 2 loops. Into the next stitch, hook through, pull the yarn up, yarn over through 2 loops, and we're going to work our way around our scrunchie with 1 double crochet in each stitch, and you can see already that that's creating a nice little border around our scrunchie. So we're going to continue that all the way around. So I will continue round and meet you at the end, where we will join with an invisible join and weave in our ends. So I'll see you in one moment once that's completed. Okay, so now round 4 is finished. We're going to cut the yarn, leaving enough so that we can weave in the end, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through. So we're going to do an invisible join rather than a slip stitch, just so it looks nice and seamless. Oh, I've got some threads there. Let's try that again. There we go. So from here, we're going to go into the top of the first stitch. So we're going to take the yarn through that stitch, and then we're going into the center of the stitch. This is where the yarn has just come from. We're going down the center into there. So we have a nice smooth edging, so it's not obvious where that join is. And then from there, we want to weave in our end. So I'm going to come down here. I like to do a bit of a ziggy-zaggy shape, so I'm going to work my way through, and then I'm going to go through half of that yarn, going in between some of the yarn and going back through here. And I'm going to come up a little bit. And over here, and I think that's pretty good there. So I'm going to cut that off. So these 2 we've already weaved in this way. So all I'm going to do is go, this one's a bit shorter, so I'm just going to go back through here. Cut that off. With this one, as it's green, I'm going to work my way down. Yeah. I'm going to go back in this direction. She says. There we go. There we are, so that's nice and secure. Cut that end off. And there we have it. There's your scrunchie. So as I said, the varieties are endless with how you can choose your colour combination with the yarn that you want to use. You can see the difference here. So this is the cotton, this is the Chanel, and this is a DK. All look lovely. You can see the difference in the sizes as well, so that will come out differently depending on the yarn choice and the hook that works with it as well. But I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you're going to be making lots of beautiful scrunchies for you and loved ones. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy crocheting!